Yeah. I know about the new FD Signifier video. The anti... Once again, we're proving where our priorities are. We're literally on the cusp of fascism in the United States. Unprecedented rise in hate crimes and discriminatory legislation. We're really proving what we care about. LeftTube has a drama problem. Not FD Signifier. LeftTube does. Pay no attention to the 2.5-hour video. You know, it's the LeftTube that has the problem with drama. So you agree with FD Signifier? Yeah, I guess I do think that the LeftTube has a drama problem, yeah. You know they feel safe only going after other leftists? Yeah, it's scary going after right-leaning people. He still refuses to actually watch the Professor Flowers debate? You need to watch the whole thing, it's a holistic thing. 2.5 hours, this would be more than an entire stream just to cover one video? Hey, it's me. Dun da 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 da! Good picture of me to use, too.
This site basically allows its users to learn about anime. There's nothing necessarily bad with that.
In order for that to proceed smoothly, you'll need something...
Oh, wait, hold on. What's the actual... What are we complaining about?
Not enough. There's a reason people don't focus on that. And I'll come back to it later. I remember after the drama...
From what I've seen, he also clips you out of context. Clip me out of context? Wait, hold on. You're telling me that a left YouTuber clipped me out of context while making a video attacking other people on the left? That's crazy. I don't believe it. I'd have to see it to believe it. All right.
You can see there's a lot of drama involved with this guy. It was the drama with Noah Samson, which came somehow before and after a lot of this. All the drama that I'm speaking of, for a moment, maybe this is me projecting, I feel like I saw it on his face when he talked to Noah Samson on stream.
Harass me, because it makes me out to be the instigator, the eternal arbiter of harassment, who can never ever have too much done against them.
I do think a lot of it is a narrative-based thing. The issue is that a lot of people do view me as some kind of big, bad, scary antagonist, a person who's representative of the rot in the online left, and also, because people constantly talk about this alleged harassment from my community, a person who mobilizes this massive wave of hate that people will get after.
Several months later.
All right, thank you guys. Keep it up, though. Don't get complacent. The more of you are in the replies being like, that's not what's happening right here. Like, this is necessary, okay? Publicly shame her into changing her mind on this.
Move you.
What? This isn't harassment. She came out of nowhere and was wrong.
Off this site and into... I don't want to bring up the substance abuse.
I've heard it seen a few times.
How is that harassment? Wait, how is me saying I don't want to... Contra engaged in behavior that when done against her made her descend into an opium addiction. Like, I said I wouldn't bring that up, but that's true. That's not like bullying. That happened. She talked about it, you know? Yeah, how is me deciding against it? Okay. Yeah, the clip is so out of context that it was incoherent, so he had to add some in. It was so lacking in context. He had to add a text box being like, okay, I know I'm really like shoddily scraping these together, so like you need like a little bit of patchwork glue to even understand anything about what's going on right now.
People refer to debate bros as the new alt-right. Initially, I agreed with
I'm always saying that.
This uncritically. They're definitely cut from the same cloth and occupy many of the same spaces online.
That's extremely true. Debate bros love Poll and Stormfront. That's where I'm always chilling. That's true.
Participate in harassment campaigns against people they don't like. But what I'm starting to realize is that debate bros aren't the alt-right. They're not that bad. Instead, they're...
Oh my God, he's so moderate. He's so wise. Listen to the moderation of his tone. I realize that these live streamers aren't all literally neo-Nazis. This guy's like the Buddha.
Really controlled opposition. In a post-Trump world where figures like the Quartering or Armored Skeptic are no longer relevant and
I haven't... Okay, I don't know if you can really compare the quartering and armored skeptic. The quartering feels pretty relevant to me. He gets higher views than I do, certainly higher than FD Signifier. He's got a pretty huge channel. Does he know what controlled opposition means? Let's find out.
And one of the OGs of the anti-SJW world, the amazing atheist, has kind of turned over a new leaf. Plus guys like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson being outside of the sphere where you can kind of farm content. Some of the most valuable figures for the attention economy are debate bros. I know for a fact that if I put Vaush's face on...
What does that have to do? What does that have to do with the concept of controlled opposition? Does he not know what controlled opposition means? Controlled opposition is when one group controls both sides of discourse by fronting the other side. What is that?
On the thumbnail for this video, it will get more clicks. I know this because last April, I put his silhouette in my April Fool's thumbnail, and that shit hit 1 out of 10 by a wide margin until people realized it was a prank. I know this because I get so...
We call this the Vaush bump. It's because I'm amazing and popular and everyone loves me. I am the content. Look at me. Say my name.
Many emails and comments and tweets asking me to talk to Vaush or talk about Vaush and other debate bros. And since the beginning, before...
Never forget, after this guy made his first anti-debate bro video, which was full of, like, lies, the only debate bro he would talk to was Shark. I'm pretty sure because Shark is black. He walked back everything he said in the debate bro video, and then he kept making videos saying the same stuff. He's a fucking coward. He literally, like, all of it just fell apart to Shark's, like just basic Socratic method. And then he just kept saying it. It's fucking spineless, yeah. He said it was because Shark is black. Oh, did he admit it was because Shark is black? Like, he actually said that. Okay, great. That's fantastic. Truly the height of intellectualism on display here.
When I first had 100,000 subscribers, this was people saying, FD, choose a side. And obviously, I chose not to side with debate bros because I don't like them. But they're not monsters. Neither is Merrick.
Thanks.
Neither is Professor Flowers.
Wait, Merrick? Wait. Which Merrick? What Merrick are we talking about? Because, like, Merrick is very publicly... Merrick DeVille? Yeah, but Merrick is very publicly on our... Okay, whatever. Merrick's in the video? Merrick isn't a debate bro. Okay, whatever.
Neither is Hassan. Neither is DJ Mule. Neither is Rewired Soul, for that matter. But we overstate the possible badness of these figures to justify treating them inhumanly. We call it accountability, but that's not really what we're talking about 90% of the time.
People
like literally 2 minutes ago, this guy was like, yeah, I used to accept uncritically that all debate bros were neo-Nazis. But now I realize they're not that bad. What level are we operating on here? When it comes to, like, essentialist denunciations, there is no comparison. Like, at all. Why are the clips so why are the clips so crispy? I have no idea.
Make it seem like you're a bad person, you're a villain, you're right. Immoral. They have to moralize their content consumption, and they have to also moralize like the kinds of content that they don't like. And this is ironic because this is a very liberal tendency, because liberals have no way of doing materialist analysis. It's antithetical to their worldview, and therefore they like to harp on cultural signifiers. And
I just look, okay, this isn't relevant to the video at all. I feel so jacked today. Oh my god. Was the bagel that I lifted up to my mouth earlier like super ultra heavy and I didn't realize? I feel like my shoulders are busting out of this shirt right now. Is it just a smaller shirt? I feel like oh my god. When I walked over to the shower and stood up for 20 minutes in a row while washing my body. Oh my god. I'm fucking yoked over here. I'm getting jacked. Was it an everything bagel? No, it was just a regular plain bagel. Oh my god. Take it off, take it off. Sorry, I'm being stupid.
Ironically, that's why you get this like, my consumption is saying something about my morals. That's why I'm consuming good things and not bad things. That's why there's so much cultural analysis. And not in like a Gramscian sense, but instead in more so like why is there a bad character in in this new movie that's doing bad things, but he looks kind of cool, which is almost like this puritanical 90s era, anti-video game, anti-violence momentum that you're
he talked to Hassan. Yeah, because Hassan is black.
seeing both from the left and the right, because no one has
All right, move it along.
The press they achieve. All of it revolves around consumption.
Oh wait, these are my videos.
Systemic change is really difficult to achieve, impossible as a matter of fact. So they just pick apart like whatever they can and just hyper focus in these like little communities that they've created on the internet. And
What is it? It's true. I make YouTube videos as a YouTuber. That is true. Hassan is criticizing the liberal tendency to form social in-groups without any like interest in broader social change, which is the opposite of me, because I'm constantly critical of people who turn the left into an insular social group, and I'm always looking to maximize like a possible gain in pulling people over. And like, why show my videos here? Scroll through Hassan's channel. Like what? Like what is the implication here? Like Hassan is referring to any YouTuber? Wait, hold on.
Possible as a matter of fact. So they just pick apart like whatever they can and just hyper focus in these like little communities that they've created on the internet. And all of it revolves around consumption. It's never about like genuine move.
Hold on. Let me get FD Signifier up here. This is so dumb. I can't believe, why is everyone who criticizes me dumb? Incredible every time. It's so stupid. It's such a reach.
It's and just hyper focus in these like little communities that they've created on the internet. And all of it revolves around consumption. It's never about like genuine moves. It's never about like,
it's about who you watch. What does who you watch say about you? We'll say stuff like they're harmful to the left or to social movements, which maybe is true to an extent, but
I think Hassan's point was more about Twitter mom stuff. It was obviously not about me, because if the point was about me, then it would have been equally applicable to every YouTuber.
to what extent? DJ Mule, again, less than 10,000 followers. Professor Flowers, less than 30,000. Xander Hall, less than 100,000. Vaush has over 400,000 subscribers. When you look at the view counts of his content on YouTube, he rarely breaks half of that. I don't think he's...
Do you know what uploading 1 or 2 videos a day means? Wait, seriously? Find me anyone who uploads 1 to 2 videos a day who gets a view count equal to oh my god, this is so stupid. This is so dumb. Chill out, it's not an insult. But this, well, I mean, it's kind of an insult by implication. But also, like, it's very, very dumb. Between my 2 channels, I get 10 million views a month. Between them. Vaush, don't engage in the video that I'm looking at.
Done it, but
it literally, like, hey, I have 200,000 Twitter followers, and I can't help but notice my last tweet did not get 200,000 retweets. Elon Musk, sir, watch the whole video. You sound dumb as fuck right now. What? So okay, really quickly, out of curiosity, like simping aside, how is it dumb as fuck for me to be like locked in linear time like you? Okay, I don't know if you're like Dr. Manhattan and you're watching the tachyons move in both directions and you can see everything. You're watching the tachyons hurl in from the future and you're collecting them and learning about what's to come. But unfortunately, I have to experience things linearly, which means that when I engage with stuff, it has to happen before I can engage with it, you see. It's a difficult concept to understand for you higher dimensional beings.
Once or twice in the last couple of years, and one of those is the video with Professor Flowers. 75% of his community, at least on YouTube, has checked the fuck out because he's kind of like the entry point for a lot of people until they figure out.
See, who's saying this isn't an insult? He's saying that because my videos get 100,000 views, that means the other 300,000 subscribers don't watch? This guy, is this a joke? He has no idea how YouTube works. Dog, you have a channel. Check your analytics. That's not how that works. Not everyone watches every video. This reeks of jealousy. I'm giggling. Yeah, like, oh my God. I can't help but notice that you have 200,000 Twitter followers, but your tweets usually get around 10K likes. Sorry that the other 190,000 people who follow you have checked out and never engaged with your content. Good on you for the remaining 10,000 people, though. Jesus Christ.
You know, so it's not much about the spreading.
Wait, hold on. Let me check Markiplier. Like, I guess it's kind of nice because it seems like a reaffirmation that in order to disagree with me, you have to be kind of like a retard. Because this isn't just like an analytical failure or an emotional bias against me. This reveals a basic misunderstanding of the platform that he also uses, which is very weird. You can check your analytics. All right, here we go. Damn, Markiplier has 34.4 million subscribers, but I can't help but notice that a lot of these videos get maybe 2 million views at most. Shame that 32.4 million of his subscribers have moved on. That's like 95% of them or something. Cool that the other 5% of his viewers watch every single video every time, though. The Majority Report has over 1 million subs and less views. Yeah, well, the Majority Report releases more videos a day than I do. Like, they release like 6 videos a day, which means that they get a ton of like variance in how many views they get, you know? 1.2 million subs, but their videos rarely break 100K views. But that doesn't mean they aren't getting a lot of engagement. It means that if you're a fan of the Majority Report, you're probably not watching like 8 videos of theirs a day. It means that you appreciate their stuff and you check out maybe like 1 or 2, you know? That's the point of releasing it in a bunch of small segments as opposed to like one big block video.
Of bad ideas either. But I'm sure some will try to say, for whichever one of those figures in that list that they hate the most, that it's not about some tribal behavior. It is about accountability and the spreading of bad ideas and setting an appropriate example for the community. That these various communities have the...
Also, you're a streamer. A lot of people already see your stuff when it was live. Actually, the majority of people see my content from YouTube videos, not streams.
Right and the necessity to protect themselves in their spaces, which sometimes means making an example out of transgressive behaviors within and outside of community. And I agree with that to an extent. But without a critical eye on this behavior, we all have created not so much a cancel culture, right, as it's often employed by conservatives, but definitely a culture where we incentivize outrage. It gets us clicks, it gets us likes, it gets us clout and attention. And because it's so closely tied to identities within these communities and dissension within the community.
Why does it feel like so many of these graduate wannabes take so many words to express a point that everyone understands? Yes, YouTubers make YouTube content, and yes, that forms online community. I feel like this gets repeated in every video, and it's a way to drag out like the runtime. You know, I don't know if like the Adam and Eve sponsorship was contingent upon a given like total length of the video, but I like it's so weird. It's because they're essay pilled. Yeah, the problem is like good essays have editors. It's oh man.
Is dangerous. We have little to no critical framework on our own behavior and whether or not...
This is one of the things that made Contra good, by the way. That makes Contra good, if she ever made videos, which she doesn't. But if she did, it would be one of the things that makes her good.
We're doing the right thing a lot of times. All the analysis of problems gets edited out the discussion. We just want to keep community intact. And what that does is prime us for doing too much and really being manipulated sometimes by people who know this about us. Keep our...
That's what always happens.
Oh, hey, it was the person who was bullied off of YouTube by the same kind of people who hate me. That's great.
And you always have to approach it with nuance because you can't say you never did anything wrong.
Intro. Other influences, Lindsay was canceled a couple of years ago. But understanding Lindsay's cancellation from a couple of years ago and looking back at it with hindsight is the most like potent evidence that this holding people accountable, the accountability myth that I've been talking about, is incredibly flawed and hard to make sense of under any type of heavy scrutiny.
True.
And
I will never be held accountable. God, this video essay is like infinity length long.
So because of this, DJ Mule isn't just a guy who made...
I'm just skipping to the part where I see myself in the thumbnail because I'm the only interesting part of this video.
some insensitive comments about another guy and his ex-girlfriend. No, he's an abuser, or at a minimum, an abuse apologizer. Professor,
he's objectively an abuse apologizer. That's true. That's not an exaggeration or an abstraction. That is an accurate and direct description of what he is. Yeah, it's not to say he's not would be a false statement.
Professor Flowers isn't just a person who didn't perform well in a debate.
She actually did better in the debate than she did in her follow-up videos. Her follow-up videos were her like burning an effigy and chanting "Kill Whitey, kill Whitey." The debate with me, she at least didn't have an effigy or a match. Yeah, I don't know.
With a hostile audience, they are a reverse racist who wants to genocide white people.
True. Also, oh, no, just regular racist. There's no such thing as reverse racism. Also, apparently he just still hasn't watched that video, so he doesn't even know. Like, he hasn't watched the video with me and her.
Hassan isn't just a young, successful leftist who is just indulging in his money and fame. He's also somehow a sexual predator and everything that's wrong with the left.
When has Hassan ever even been accused of being a sexual predator? Did I miss that drama? When he went to a brothel? Didn't he just, like, go to a brothel? That's not... When he was, like, 20? The 19-year-old girl when he was in his 20s? Who gives a okay, sure, alright, whatever. Somebody lied about him doing stuff with a 17-year-old. It was DGGers who accused... Okay, alright. Adjacent to a Destiny drama? Okay, yeah.
And Vaush isn't just a guy who has some very clear racist tendencies in his analysis.
I like how we're doing the reconciliation bit at the end. It's like, hey, man, they're not all that bad. They're just people. And then it's like, Vaush is, okay, listen, I will acknowledge the fact that Vaush is indeed basically a neo-Nazi, but he's not literally Hitler. He's more like, I don't know, Goebbels or something. Very clear racism.
And regularly says offensive things because he wants to be seen as edgy. All good reasons to critique Vaush.
I don't even say offensive stuff that much, I don't think. I feel like my stuff is pretty above board, honestly. I think it really just indicates the fragility of the left, that saying retard is some kind of like ultra edgy, hyper distinct. No, like really, it's pretty pathetic, you know. It's like, oh yeah, what an incredibly edgy warrior of controversy. He says the Xbox Live word.
No, he's also a pedophile, a CIA agent, and sexually attracted to horses. Yes, these are real things people say about this dude.
It took a long...
Dog, if you're gonna call me racist, just call me a pedophile too. They're both equally wrong. You know, it's like, I don't know why you would do this like ambivalent, well, I'll give him some charity shit when you're not gonna give me charity on the points that I care about, you know?
Long time kind of pull out of the, you know, predominant negativity that dominates.
Is he defending you or attacking you? He's attacking me while pretending to be sanctimonious, which is one of the most annoying things people on the left do. God, I wish he doubled down and said all these things are real. That would have been funnier. That would have been way funnier, yeah. It's probably also something he thinks, to be honest. I don't know.
The what was it, Augie, the Augie sphere, the Augie sphere of the early.
I don't see my face anywhere else. Did we do it? Did we defeat the video? Is that me? I see red.
That within his community, it's a running joke. Like, it's a running joke that Vaush is actually a CIA plant meant to derail the radical potential of breadtube, which is laughable on multiple levels. There's also lots of accusations that Vaush is, I'll say, a peer. If you catch what I'm getting at there. You know, trying not
We that sensitive? Oh yeah, okay.
to get this demonetized. Now, this is because
What is this?
Vaush has said some ridiculous things about Pedialyte drinking in the past.
No, I haven't. It was all pretty above board. See, this is what I mean with like the sanctimonious attacking bullshit. The like people who come away from this, like the kind of people who watch FD Signifier, you know, not the brightest. Vaush, please watch the whole vid. No, the whole vid isn't about me. Why would it? Fuck would I care about the other parts? Aren't going to come away from this being like, ah, well, I've now been given a more nuanced view of it's always like you know, denunciation through like it's a paternalistic condescending that bullshit. Yeah, if you're gonna attack me, just attack me. Please watch less of the vid. True. Be better. Yeah, I love that. I love be better.
It is possible for an adult and a child to have a relationship and for it to have positive outcomes on the child as well.
Damn, that's a lot of context we're adding in right here. That's crazy. I wonder what was happening before and after when I know this clip is going to end, because this was clipped out by a neo-Nazi and posted on Twitter, deliberately removing the before and after part where I was constructing a consistent utilitarian argument against having relationships with children.
Is possible.
And nobody should be saying those types of things publicly. And
Yeah, this FD Signifier guy is definitely engaging in good faith and definitely trying to convince people that I'm not a pedophile, which is why in this 2.5-hour video, he's made apparently just a bunch of out of hat, like, hey, so this is crazy, but like, here's why other people say he's a pedophile. Haha, like 50 times. And then in the end it's like, okay, well, he is a racist, but like, that's it. I don't know. I do feel like you could get him on stream now. Not in a million years would he go on stream. Why edit a clip already edited out of context? I feel like it was edited like an additional time because I have no idea why all the clips in this video are so crispy. FD is so dishonest. Yeah, for sure. It's so easy to find context. No, well, they don't want to find context, obviously. The goal of stuff like this, it's the exact same thing that Non-Compete did in my conversation with him, where he like randomly accused me of being a pedophile. And then I was like, okay, no, hold on. No, I have you here on a call with me. So let's talk about why you're lying right now. And then I like explained why he was being dishonest, and he didn't want to engage, and he was running from that. And then like, was it like before or after? Like, I think he essentially admitted that it didn't matter whether or not the accusation was true. He just wanted to say it. Was it before or after the actual argument? The point of doing stuff like that, like nobody will put up an out of context clip, like thinking, well, if they just address this, then I will amend my statement and I will no longer do or say this. What they want to do is basically just like drop a shit on the conversation and then run. It's a well poisoning kind of thing, you know? And by providing out of context clips, and not like finding or providing any of the incredibly easy to find contextualization, any of the really obvious stuff that you could find from my community, where it's like, hey, if you look at the before and after, this actually is completely sensical and you would agree with it. The goal here is to just leave the audience with the impression that he's being charitable by not calling me a pedo, but actually he does think it and they should think it too. You guys know what I mean? Non-compete was so disgusting in that. Yeah, it is genuinely disgusting. I really do feel like these are like remarkably bad people. And this is one of the reasons why I have a lot of faith in the stuff that I do. And it's because even though I have disagreements with lots of people online, for the most part, I'm still pretty conciliatory when it comes to like respecting their content. I think Sean is a piece of shit, but his videos are great. Contra did me dirty, despite having a previously friendly relationship with me, but I still think her videos are great. Basically, at this point, every person in BreadTube has at some point or another indicated they don't like me. But for those who I think their videos are great, you know, I'll still give them credit where it's due. But when people don't like me, all of a sudden, like the gates are open and they're on a run for the most, like, insane denunciations in the universe. Like, disliking me can never be a moderate position. You can never have a mild opinion on me. All negative opinions on me have to be the most, like, exaggerated, cartoony bullshit imaginable. Which, considering the fact that I don't do that to other people, makes me feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm usually kind of the good guy in these interactions, even if you were to leave out, like, the objective rightness or wrongness of the positions involved. Yeah, schizo posting Olympics. It's like crazy shit right out the gate. FD has good videos when he's not being a dumb fuck about you. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I think like there's something about me specifically that incites like the lowest IQ engagements imaginable. H-bomb hasn't, I don't think. No, I think H-bomb hasn't, but I don't know. Anyway, let me see. Is there anything else here? We have like 20 minutes before we have to jump on with Marianne. Oh shit, I know these people.
Yeah.
When
that really is so disturbing. Is it okay if I like just chime in on that?
Yeah.
That is something that really disturbed me because I had never talked about land back in that debate, and just like the way that like that the clips blew up around land back because people heard decolonization. It's just like the damage that did to talking about land back was just really disturbing.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of damage was done to the land back topic from Professor Flowers. I completely agree. Were you contacted to get your side of the discussion? What do you think?
The narrative is also that Professor Flowers is pro-genocide when, if you watch this 3-hour-long thing, which I tried, I really did try. I can only get through the first 90 minutes because
I watch more of this debate than Vaush has ever watched any of my content. Maybe. That might be true.
I think I got the picture, and it proves my point because within the first 5 minutes, it's Vaush who brings up genocide.
And yes, because, yeah, right? Yeah. Like, if I was talking with a fascist, or like, I don't know, if I had like Ron DeSantis sitting down, like, I might be the one to bring up the word genocide, but that's because I'm trying to pick at his views, you know?
It seems like the fundamental bones are pretty similar, and then when you get into the logistics of creating an ethno-state, there's not really any way to do that without genocide, you know? Like, take South Africa, right? I mean, it's all well and good to talk about living free of your oppressors, but when you break apartheid in South Africa, there are millions of white people living in that country. Like, what do? Do you just, like, ship them all out? Do you build camps? I mean, it seems like this logic always leads down a really bad road.
And Vaush,
that way, that was, like, totally reasonable. We had talked about like ethno-states prior, so I was like, well, you can't really create an ethno-state without genocide unless you already have like a mono-ethnic or mono-racial country, which basically doesn't exist. That was fine. I didn't come across as bad faith or angry or whatever there. That was, I was asking the question.
Keeps returning to it as Professor Flowers tries to over and over again explain the difference between genocide and anti-colonial violence.
Okay. Now he's doing it. The anti-colonial violence that she was defending South Africa's right to do was the deportation of 6 million white people, which is unquestionably ethnic cleansing. So yes, if she's like, well, I'm not in favor of genocide, but I do think that they should be able to deport all people because of their race, I will keep going back to that subject. That is true. I don't care whether it's being framed as anti-colonial or not.
Something she also did in several follow-up videos as she was being attacked by this community.
When I say that people don't have to live with their oppressors, that is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about ethno-states. Ian is. Many people.
So, people don't have to live with their oppressors, she said to me. Okay, so what does that mean in terms of policy? Like, getting rid of them? What does that mean? Well, it meant ethnic cleansing or genocide, depending on, I don't know, how charitable she's feeling. I feel like the fact that she's willing to own up to the mass deportation thing kind of indicates that she personally, in her head, would be okay with just putting them in camps. Not just deportation. She said colonized people could do what they want. Yeah, she did. She did basically imply that if they, like, outright killed all the white people in South Africa, that would be their right. She didn't explicitly state it, but she kept saying, like, whatever they wanted to do, you know? I don't think violence should happen, but if that's what they want, like, that kind of thing. She also does believe that definitionally all white people are colonizers based on their skin color. She does that weird online lefty thing where colonizer doesn't mean anything. It just means like white people. Like it doesn't have any specific definition that refers to the extent to which you personally contribute to colonization. It literally just means you're white, which is weird because if we're going by like the definition of just like, well, if you're white, so like white Europeans in countries that they would have come from ethnically, or like nope, just all white people, colonizers, you know?
People believe that this sentiment is actually about white genocide or white ethnic cleansing. I believe that Ian brought up the concern for white genocide because I had mentioned Kenya reclaiming businesses. There are a number of African countries who did this after colonialism because most of the wealth and power was still owned by the colonialists. In other words, even though colonialism had...
So keep in mind, so first of all, these decolonial activities did often involve a lot of really bad behavior, okay? Decolonization as a whole is a good thing, but lots of bad things happen during decolonization, much in the same way that generally good actions can still lead to, like, some bad things happening. Also, there is a huge difference between reclaiming wealth systemically after you've decolonized your country and ethnically or racially deporting people. Big difference between those things.
Ended in title, it still had ongoing effects in wealth, power, and resources. So there are ways that the post-colonial governments took that power back.
This part was sussy as hell. Go to the 12-minute mark. What?
To feel better as friends reached out to me and I talked to comrades, my friends, there is no amount of violence that colonized people can enact towards their colonizers that will ever compare to what colonizers have done to them. That compares to the millions of kidnapped and enslaved people, to the thousands of years of history and way of life that has been wiped out, to the languages that have been lost, to the entire caste system that has been created, to the relocation and murder of millions, to the subjugation of entire nations, and to the subjugation and profit of stolen land. And how dare you compare the removal of those who have colonized stolen land and who have subjugated indigenous people as to being the same as the Holocaust? Colonized people have every right to say, you have slaughtered and subjugated us for hundreds of years, and you can no longer stay on stolen land. And as Kimberly Jones said this for Black people, I'll say it for all colonized people as well. You should consider yourself lucky that colonized people are looking for equality and not revenge. You have no right to be a part of this conversation. No right.
Yeah, the Hitler particle emissions critical. I like how her response to the idea that, like, how dare you say that I want to ethnically cleanse white people. Frankly, Whitey, you should consider yourself lucky that I don't, because I could, and I would, and I want to, and I dream about it, and yeah, she's fucking insane.
Again, this doesn't have to do with retribution. It has to do with power imbalances and attempts
It doesn't have to do with retribution. That clip.
To move toward greater equity. In these instances, when a given state takes back businesses, at times the countries who colonize that area stop having access to resource extraction, and sometimes the colonists running these industries leave. However, the ongoing effects of colonialism are still massive issues in post-colonial African countries. My main point is that fixing these problems by way of expropriation is not an ethnic cleansing, as I've seen people argue.
This wasn't about accountability. This was a public shaming effort.
Yes, that is true. I was publicly shaming her for being an ethnic cleansing denier. That is true. Or sorry, not denier, defender. Yes, I think that's okay. Anyway, so this is like a goalpost move. In the debate and in a bunch of follow-up videos, she was talking about, like, explicitly removing people from a country based on their race. Not just about the reappropriation of colonizer businesses, which I think is fine. Obviously, if your country has been basically like an apartheid-ridden, two-tiered society for decades and decades, or even centuries, and then you finally take back power from, like, the occupying force, like, that's fine. Like the like Indians taking back stuff from the British Raj, of course that's fine. But I don't think you could then go, okay, like, now that we've taken back businesses and political power from the British Raj, now we have the right to kill, enslave, or deport, like, millions of British people who live in India. Though I don't think millions of British people lived in India after the fall of the Raj. I don't actually know how many did. A lot of white people do live in South Africa, though.
And really much worse than that. For half a year, Professor Flowers experienced nonstop harassment, leaving her in a deep suicidal depression, not just on the way she was treated, but also on how it affected, like...
Yeah, this began the 6-month-long campaign of me hearing nonstop that she was being bombarded with harassment and never being given any proof of it, no matter how much my moderators asked for it. I think I saw one screenshot, literally one in total, of a DM that she had gotten, which was from like Vaush fan 88 DMing saying the N-word, comma, we are Vaush Army, created like 3 days before the DM was sent or something, which, you know. Yeah, sure. No, I'm not joking. That's not a joke. Anyone in chat can attest to that? I showed the screenshot on stream at some point, I think. Yeah. So yeah, some people say they remember. Yeah, just they literally had a Groiper profile picture. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, very sincere Vaush fan. Yes. Hello, I am big Vaush fan. Heil is, yeah, incredible stuff. Oh, the picture's still there. Oh, even Professor Flowers said, I'm pretty sure this isn't a Vaush fan, as the hashtag Vaush Army isn't something I've seen them use. That is true. That does not exist. Oh, hold on. They don't have a Groiper profile pic. They have an anime girl profile pic. The only thing more racist than a Groiper profile pic. So this is the one piece of evidence we got. One where Professor Flowers admitted that it probably wasn't real.
Her work and worldview and the people around her. They took other white leftists, white male leftists, coming forward to stem the tide of harassment, which is incredibly sad. And I feel guilty that I wasn't one of those voices early on to participate in that. And this, of course, led to them being attacked and harassed for weeks and months on end. But again, just to illustrate the craziness, this debate happened.
It didn't happen. Well, the debate happened, not the harassment.
In September of 2021, and way later in February of 2022, I made a video on Black love, not at all really connected to leftist political ideas and issues. And I decided I would have Professor Flowers read one line in it. Do you know these motherfucking Vaush stans jumped in my comment section with the nerve to tell me that they were disappointed in me for associating with her? These people...
Sure. Okay. All right.
Committed her voice to memory just so they could police her presence on my channel. Much like with DJ Mule, they were trying to hold me accountable to their community and their sensibilities, which of course I didn't. But let's for a second imagine, right, that Professor Flowers did do some real harm here. Let's imagine for a moment that we live.
She directly advocated for ethnostates at 640. I hate this dude.
Extreme. That there were always ways to address colonization without going as far as excluding an entire racial group.
First off, if Black Americans did go to Africa, to a place where there were no white people, this still wouldn't be an ethnostate.
There are white people in Africa.
I should have corrected this point during the debate. An ethnostate is made up of only one ethnicity. I don't say this as a gotcha moment, but to point out that the way that people talk about Africa is as if it's made up of one ethnicity of Black people. This understanding is inaccurate. Africa is the most genetically diverse continent in the world. There are over 2,000 languages. Even if there were a country with only Black Africans, it wouldn't be an ethnostate as it's made up of multiple ethnicities.
So obviously, like, ethnostate etymologically means one ethnicity, but in reality, what people mean is a race state. Like, we talk about white ethnostaters, but it's not like, oh yeah, they only want like German ancestral Americans, not Polish ancestral Americans or Italian ancestral Americans or whatever else. Like, they're not going to kick out all the Swedish, Norwegian, Finnish, French, so on and so forth, because it's exclusively, yeah, only Latvians. No, like, obviously, colloquially, it's used to mean, like, of a single race. Or, yeah, or you could say, like, a single national identity group. You could excise some ethnicities, but allow other ones in, depending on their relationship. Like, for example, the Iranian and Turkish hatred of Kurdish people, like, the attempts to sort of discriminate against them. It's not as though there are only two ethnicities in Iran, Kurdish and non-Kurdish Iranian. But you could still argue there's an ethnostate tendency to saying stuff like, you know, Iran's not for Kurds.
Secondly, there are indigenous people who are isolationist, and this is a kind of ethnostate where they truly are a singular ethnicity and visitors aren't allowed. Well, I don't see Black...
If the only examples you can think of an ethnostate are the fucking North Sentinel Island and...
This is a kind of ethnostate where they truly are a singular ethnicity and visitors aren't allowed.
And the island of... ni hao with indigenous Hawaiian people, then probably when people say ethno-state, they're not referring to literally like everyone here is related by blood. Like, oh yeah, we have real ethno-states, these uncontacted tribes.
Well, I don't see black separatists wanting to live in isolation to this extreme. I don't think this would be wrong if it happened. I think Vaush truly wanting to live in isolation to this extreme. I don't think this would be wrong if it happened. I think Vaush truly believes that I'm advocating for violent separatism, and I'm simply not. There's a number of ideas I could think of separatism without violence. Buy a plot of land off the grid and build your own community, or move to places in Africa that already have an all-black or nearly all-black population.
Okay, you guys realize this is literally the race-swapped version of the black-pilled white nationalist Americans who are like, guys, we're never going to get those brown people out of our country. We need to find some like white community in Finland and just stay there. This is literally the same thing. It's like, listen, I'm not a racist, okay? I understand that I probably couldn't like genocide the 100 million non-white people in America. I simply want to go up and live in some like Russian village where everyone is white. Like white nationalists say this shit all the time.
There's a number of options where I can see black separatists.
Oh yeah, also critical point here. Black Americans and Black Africans, historically and contemporarily, are so not the same that the idea that a Black American could just go to Africa and just be there is fucking ridiculous. Black Americans are American. They're Westerners. Black Americans descend from a lineage that has been in the West, or at least in America, longer than a lot of the white people in America. The idea that they could just go to Africa and have something in common because of their skin tone is insane. It's ridiculous. Let her LARP, Vaush? I will not let her LARP, actually. The funny thing is that a lot of the tendencies that we associate with black culture here in the United States also, I'm pretty sure, would end up getting treated over in Africa, at least some parts of it, in a fashion similar to like the racist Fox News thug fear-mongering that we hear about. I've heard stories about like cultural, like conservative opposition in some African countries. And again, I'm being kind of general here because I'm not like an expert on like Africa as a continent or any of its individual countries, but like they are more socially conservative than ours are by a huge margin. So the like I haven't like dog, can you imagine a bunch of black Americans moving over to Africa and then immediately getting treated like worse than black Americans do here in America because now they've compounded like cultural differences on top of like existing like traveling and just the general difficulty of integrating to a new culture. Holy shit. We don't want another Liberia situation. All right, whatever. We're almost talking to Marianne.
Live in a world where white South Africans have to worry about being ethnically cleansed and don't control 95% of the wealth in the nation they colonize even after decolonization efforts that have happened in that nation, and that Professor Flowers was somehow irresponsible in her language. The ensuing harassment campaign was for what purpose? What lesson was to be learned there? What goal could people possibly have been pursuing?
Stupid whining. And being done in bad faith as well. Also, I hope everyone understands the only reason that we keep talking about Professor Flowers is because everybody else keeps bringing her up. My talk with her was the most unambiguous, objective L she could have possibly taken, and lefties will still, like, break every bone in their bodies so they can contort into the tiniest boxes to defend her further. Like, the convo happened literally, like, almost 3 years ago, and people are still constantly bringing her up as some evidence of like the mistreatment of my community, mistreatment which just is never substantiated, I guess, after some pretty heinous political positions fronted by her. But like they just keep bringing her up. The debate was September 2021, I think. Okay, so not 3 years then. I guess a year and a half. Here's her word for word defending genocide.
Entertaining. What exactly is genocide? During the debate, I was genuinely unsure if removing colonizers is genocide. What I understood about genocide is that it can
remember that she literally defines colonizers as white people. So what she's saying right now is, I don't know if removing 6 million people by state force would count as genocide. The answer to that is kind of ambiguous depending on the definition of genocide used. It does meet the definition of ethnic cleansing, by my definition, it absolutely meets like genocide. Like if like Ron DeSantis took power and he was like, okay, yeah, we're literally just going to deport all black people, I think that calling that genocidal violence would be completely okay. I don't think anyone would like race forward with their finger up, you know, outstretched, going, technically, actually, it's not genocide. It's actually, just ethnic cleansing.
Be tricky to determine. Much of my understanding of it came from the Rohingya genocide, where their oppression wasn't considered genocide by the UN until 2017. So is removing colonizers genocide? I really wasn't sure. I should have just said—
Well, if by colonizers you mean all white people, then yes. If by colonizers you mean the actual people who were in charge of or directly contributed to colonial power structures, then that can be fine, depending on how it's done.
I'm not sure what the definitions of genocide are, pause to look it up, and discussed it from there, instead of me responding with, I'm not sure, or I think that's okay, as any sense of uncertainty was seen as evidence of me being pro-genocide, and someone who was all too close to white nationalism but naively couldn't see it. So after the debate, I looked up if violent decolonization is considered genocide. I didn't find a clear answer on that, but what I did find on the legal definition was this. Genocide is A, killing members of the group, B, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group.
I would say forced deportation of millions of people would count as serious bodily or mental harm, in my opinion.
C, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. D,
I think that also counts.
E, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. E, forcibly transferring children of the group to another group.
Kind of like abstractly, because you're forcing the children of that group onto another country, out of your borders.
For the legal definition, the intent is a deciding factor, and there must be a proven intent on the part of perpetrators to physically destroy a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group. Cultural destruction does not suffice, nor does an intention to simply disperse a group. Also, the victims of genocide must be deliberately targeted, not randomly, because of their real or perceived membership of one of the 4 groups protested under the convention, which again are national, ethnic, racial, and religious groups. After reading this, something that struck me as really frustrating was that the gotcha moment where my views were compared to genocide didn't constitute as a legal definition of genocide.
Can you imagine? Like, does it not feel like we're just watching a right-winger here? Like, literally, I feel like I'm back in 2019 and I'm arguing with some far-right guy, and he's like, technically that's not actually genocide. And then like looking at, yeah, like, it's in every way. Okay, hold on. We have a conversation with a former presidential candidate in like 3 minutes. We're being very irresponsible here. End the segment. I don't care about the rest of the video. It's dumb. I'm smart. Blah, blah. Okay.